quick glance around the room. All board members are present except for our student member. I imagine she'll be joining us at 7. And with that, we're moving on to public comment, and I did not receive any formal requests, so there will be no public comment right now. And then I need a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss personnel matters, conference with labor negotiators, public employee appointment, and 2 different anticipated litigation issues with legal counsel. To make the motion?
I'll second it.
So a motion from member Lynn and a second from member Nolenberg. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. To reconvene to open session.
So moved.
Motion from member Nolenberg and second from? Second from member Lynn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Tonight's meeting is being digitally recorded. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. And then we're going to move on now to the pledge, which will be led by member Lynn tonight. Mike?
Please stand.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. We're now on to announcements of actions taken in closed session. We did take 2 actions in tonight's closed session. The first was on a motion by member Torgino and seconded by member Lynn. In a 5-0 vote, the board rejected the claim made by Southern California Edison Company against Temple City Unified School District pursuant to government code included under section 912.6A. And then, our second action, on a motion of member Georgino and the second by member Nolenberg, and a 5-0 unanimous vote, we appointed Myra Rudell as the new principal.
Just a few words before I hand over the mic to Principal Myra Riddell. I would like to thank the parents and the staff for taking part in the principal survey, for taking part of the interview process. It was a few rounds, and I know I appreciate you sticking through the process with us and picking a great leader for your school. And now, I'll give her a second.
You know, people think that if you're a teacher, you like to talk, but I'm actually very shy. I try telling that to Aaron all the time, and no one believes me. And then Monica, the last second, said, you might have to say something today, so I had to write it down. First, Dad, that's why you're here. I don't want to tell you, but here, surprise. Thank you to the board, to the cabinet, and to the staff for taking the time over the past few weeks to listen to my vision and my hopes for our students. Being a product of Temple City Unified School District, I'm beyond proud to continue my commitment not only to Emperor, but to all the students of Temple City Unified Schools. I look forward to learning from and working with Dr. Fricker, Dr. Makowitz, Mrs. Gomez, and all the people who are part of this team. I have so much to learn and so much to offer, and I'm excited to move Emperor forward to the school that thrives in innovation, creativity, and is a showcase school. Thank you to each and every staff member who love each student as their own, who consistently come together as family. Your words of support, faith, and even our needs have lit a fire in me. I have always said I always love my job, but because of your commitment to our students and our district, together we'll make amazing things happen. And to my family, you are the reason I'm able to stand here today. You sacrificed so much for my babies and for me, and I'm forever grateful. Board, cabinet, Dr. Fricker, Dr. Makowitz, Emperor staff, Emperor families, thank you for being here. And most importantly, to all of our Eagles, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be the leader of Emperor that Emperor needs now. I will commit to you to be fair to all stakeholders, to student learning, and that we will be your school that continues to produce great leaders. Once a unicorn, always a unicorn. Once an eagle, always an eagle. Thank you. Thank you. Now in front.
Your day. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, unicorn.
Gotta get one for Dave.
We, Emperor used to be unicorns. And when I was in my 6th grade class, we took a vote, and the vote became eagles, but I've never gotten over it.
Thank you. Before you send her 100 emails, her official first day back on site is on Monday. I think I bought you maybe a little bit of a window.
I have some work to do with Longman still. He has a few meetings for me to do.
Very good, and on behalf of the entire board, I'd like to congratulate you as well. Okay, we are now moving on to special recognition. We have 2 items tonight. The first item is a Sister City Australian Exchange student introduction, and Dr. Fricker says she would like to kick that one off.
Perfect, thank you. I'm kind of new to the Sister City program, so I was interested in learning and all about the program. So let me just share a little bit of that program with you tonight before I introduce our speaker. The Temple City Sister City Association is a member of Sister City International, an organization that was formed in the 1950s to mend the broken kind of feelings after World War II. And we are happy to be a part of that partnership. The partnership is with Hawkesbury, Australia, and it started in 1984. We started the exchange of student ambassadors, the first group in the year 2000, and then each summer, 6 American students go to Australia, and then vice versa, we have students who come to see us. So we are very proud of this tradition and this exchange, and every once in a while, I guess over the next couple of years, or we even send parent groups or adult groups, which is interesting as well. So our goal is to promote the friendship and understanding between the 2 countries, and this organization actually serves as a shining beacon of that. So we are very, very proud of that. So I would like to just introduce Steve Terry to come on up and say a few words and introduce your students.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was very nice. That was very well put. Before I go any further, I would like to also congratulate the new Emperor Principal. She, over the last few years, has been our tour guide and has always welcomed us with open arms and been very, very, very informative, very supportive, and very impressive. So.
Can I go next time?
It's my pleasure to be here to introduce actually, I'm not going to introduce them, I'm going to let them to introduce themselves. This is our 2019 group. To add just one aspect, because I know that we exchange kids every year, but this is an ongoing program that extends, well, I'm sure that it will extend well into the future. We actually have a past ambassador going over next month to attend a wedding of one of the girls that came over here. They promised each other when they stayed with each other that they would participate in the weddings. And they're going to do that, so that's really exciting. I will now turn it over to the ambassadors to introduce themselves and say a couple words.
Hello, Marsha. I'd just like to say thank you for letting us visit your schools, all of the schools from the junior school to the high school. It's been interesting seeing how they all operate and everything. So yeah, it's been a good experience so far. And you enjoy the rest of it.
So hi everyone, my name's Taylor. Thank you again for letting us come to your schools. It's been a really fun experience. Our schooling is very different in Australia, and it's been really good seeing all those differences and also getting to know people at the schools. It's been really fun. Everyone's super friendly and amazing, so thank you guys.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I'd first off like to say thank you for both committees on each side, Hawkesbury and Temple City. for bringing such a great group of friends and family into one another. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Rose. I've loved Temple City High. It's been a really fun experience and I've met some really good friends. So yeah.
I'm Campbell. Thanks again for letting us come to your schools and everything. I've had a really good experience learning about the way schooling runs here because it's very different to Australia. So again, thanks.
Hi, I'm Claire. Just on behalf of the group and on behalf of the Hawkesbury Sister City Association, we'd like to thank both the school board as well as Emperor Elementary, Oak Avenue and Temple City High School for letting us visit, for letting us go into the classrooms and see how they operate and see the differences as well as the similarities to Australian school. And it's been a really educational experience and it's been a really fun experience as well, so thank you very much for that.
Again, thank you for your support because without it, we wouldn't have schools to go to. One thing I would like to add, which we also announced last night at the City Council meeting. Yes, I get to embarrass Taylor again. She turned 15 yesterday. So, thank you very much, and that's it. Thank you. Oh, what?
He has a shirt. He has a shirt. Why would you change? Give me your jacket. Go back to
Yeah.
Oh my god. Dude, that was in my dryer. Am I blocking the camera? That was literally in my dryer. Wait, is this for you? Is this for this? Right here.
We don't need to say anything. Please.
Are we gonna actually? Oh my god, no, we should like put our hands blah 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 blah.
Wait.
Stop.
Dr. Lasher? Dr. Lasher? Dr. Lasher? Do you need a basketball player? I asked him, I said, does he play basketball? Come on back.
Okay, our next special presentation tonight is going to be on the TCHS STEAM program, and Michael Williams will be making a presentation for us. Michael.
Great. Thank you for welcoming us here tonight. I am Dr. Michael Williams, Director of Secondary Education, and I have an honor tonight of presenting our STEAM programs. Temple City Unified School District does so many great things for students and gives them awesome opportunities, and we're going to feature just a couple of these. The thing about STEAM programs and our vision for the STEAM program is the real world experience, that authentic, that real world opportunities to compete in different avenues, to be able to mentor other younger students as they come up through Temple City Unified School District and into the high school, and also develop networks as they compete in different opportunities. What I feel like is when they compete with different groups, they make connections and network with the others and see how well their products are doing and be able to innovate their own products. So we're going to highlight a couple different opportunities that our high school students have been presented with. First, we're going to start out with the Science Olympiad team with Kevin Slattery. Before you come up, let me say a few things about Mr. Slattery here at the high school. Mr. Slattery has been teaching in Temple City Unified School District for 22 years. This is after spending 7 years in the industry as a structural engineer. He currently teaches AP Physics and Physics. Fun trivia fact is Mr. Slattery is blessed to have great relationships with all 4 of his 2 adopted children, birth parents, and grand-birth parents as well. So what a great thing with the family. So Mr. Slattery, come on up, and we'll introduce the Science Olympiad team.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, and I'm going to introduce the 2 captains, and then they can introduce. Harrison and Shirley have worked really hard creating about 20 tests for about 70 students that wanted to try out for the team, and unfortunately there's only 15 spots plus 2 alternates. They graded those tests, they interviewed many people, and it's an honor for me to be called their coach, but it's in reality they do 99% of the work because there are 23 events. Some of them are build events, and some of those build events include at least 100 hours into one project. And when I first started, they just were taking tests 21 years ago and showing up because students asked, hey, can we compete? And every year I think, wow, they did better and better. This year they took 7th in Los Angeles County at the regionals, and then when we got to state, they surpassed many teams, and we took 3rd in Los Angeles County, or 9th in Southern California. I'm really proud of you guys, and Harrison and Shirley were going to say a little bit.
So thank you guys for inviting us to the meeting today. We are honored to be here representing Science Olympiad. My name is Shirley, one of the co-captains of Science Olympiad.
I'm Harrison.
And this is our team, and we want them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Paul.
I'm Derek.
Hi, I'm Connor. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Hello, my name is John. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, I'm Ethan. Thank you for inviting us.
I'm Suleika. I'm Jessica.
I'm Kelly. I'm also John.
I'm Sean. I'm Edmund.
I'm Amanda.
Yeah, and once again, we really want to thank you for having us here. It's really an honor to be here to represent Temple City Unified School District. So just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, I just want to kind of explain what we kind of do in Science Olympiad. So there's like pictures here of us building things, but really what I think Science Olympiad is we have this incredible group of students here, and what we do is outside of school hours, we study for 6 or more hours every week. Together, we study completely various fields of science, not only biology, chemistry, and physics, but some of us here do astronomy, anatomy, forensics, herpetology, fossils, really these various kind of diverse fields of science that you don't really get to learn in a regular school setting. And because all of us study on our own free time, I feel like it kind of pushes us to kind of keep going forward and kind of like explore the field of science in a way that you can't really do without this program. I think this program is really amazing. It's really changed my life. I'm sure it's affected all of these students, and I'm really proud of what we've done so far this year.
So Temple City High School has been consistently qualifying for state tournament for the past several years, and this year is no exception.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys some statistics just so we can say it. So Mr. Snyder already mentioned it. We got 6th place in LA County Regional, and at state, compared to the other teams at LA County Regional, we actually got 3rd. So we actually scored higher than a lot of schools, including Arcadia, Diamond Bar, San Marino, Rosemead. It's really inspiring seeing all these students work so hard, and they just make me so happy because in Southern California there's, I'm pretty sure, over 300 high school teams, and we placed 9th in the state, so I'm really, really happy about that.
So again, thank you to the team. Without this dedicated team, we wouldn't have done so well this year. So we want to thank the team in general for working so hard throughout season. After countless hours of studying and building contraptions, it's apparent that the hard work paid off. Everyone on the team is self-motivated and always willing to learn by themselves because they're all passionate about science and they enjoy what they do.
And one other thing that I do want to mention, Mr. Slattery has been a wonderful coach for us. He does a lot of things for us. And we really appreciate all his help. But it's also important to realize that all these students also do so much work. We don't have any teachers helping us. We don't have any tutors. We don't have any like specific coaches, or we don't have a large amount of funds or resources either. All of us study from textbooks that we find at libraries. We go online, find internet resources. All of us study with our own motivation and our own resources. And it's really inspiring how hard we really work to learn without having the best situation, I'd say.
So obviously the team is great, and Mr. Slattery, we are so glad that you're our advisor. He is always willing to help us, and we couldn't have gone this far without him. He brings us food for comp, he stays after school with us, and supports us at our study meetings, and he's always happy to answer any questions we may have. And he's always there to support our decision, and our whole team respects him very much. So thank you, Mr. Slattery.
So come on through this way so we can easily go.
Or you can
go around. Or
Yep, you can stay here, or if you want to stay for the whole board meetings, or like. We're actually right here.
Oh, there.
That is one of many opportunities at the high school. So we're featuring 3 tonight. So our second one is the biology team. So Mrs. Thane has been teaching at Temple City High School for 15 years. Ms. Thane teaches advanced placement biology and biology. She loves to travel. In fact, she has lived in and taught in Africa and South Pacific. She has 2 children, both of whom work or have worked in the biotechnical fields. So congratulations, thank you for bringing your AP Bio team. So let's welcome them tonight.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm in Ms. Thane's AP Biology period. All of us are.
Hi, I'm Anu.
I'm Evan.
And recently we had the great privilege to be working with real-life genetic engineering tools. So over the past few weeks, we've been doing a genetic engineering lab by Amgen, and they gave us a grant to work with really high-level lab equipment and practice different techniques, all involved with the biotechnology field. So what we did were certain things like gel electrophoresis, and we worked with plasmids, we worked with genetic editing, and we were able to transform bacteria, bacterial DNA. It was very cool. Alright, so this is a picture of some of our students in action. Normally, when exploring genetic engineering, we have about a month or more to explore the entire unit, but unfortunately, because we do have rented materials, we have to condense all of our learning into 1 week. So we have a crash course of labs throughout 1 week, and it's very grueling for both the teacher and the students, but it's a very, very great experience that we would not want to trade for anything else. This type of exposure that we get inside this AP Bio classroom allows us to explore different fields of research and different avenues of careers in the future because biotechnology is expanding. It allows students to kind of figure out whether or not they want to do research and explore other avenues of medicine that they could go into besides the traditional physician or nursing roles, and that just really helps further the industry.
And like, especially recently, right? This is the first time I ever put on a lab coat. It's the first time I ever worked with these micropipettes. So it really opened all the students' eyes to these new and different avenues, because all of our parents are like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, right? We don't know about these other fields. So it was thanks to this Amgen lab that we were really able to discover, oh, maybe I want to be a biotechnician, maybe I want to go into the STEM industry, and maybe I want to work with all these like bacteria and these pipettes and all this fascinating new information. So it's really, I thank Amgen, I thank Ms. Thane for getting this grant for us, that we were able to find all this new experience and have this exposure that we would never have had otherwise.
And thank you for feeding us consistently. Except on lab days, no food in the lab rooms. This is a very cool image of our gel electrophoresis after we did our recombinant DNA, just to verify that it worked. So these little bands are little fragments of DNA that we ourselves cut and isolated inside bacteria, and we run it through gel electrophoresis just to make sure that it worked. And it did. Some more scientists in action, everybody's lab appropriate. We are also encouraged to practice every single safety measure available, such as wearing gloves, goggles, clothes all the way to your wrists and ankles, just to make sure that we don't get exposed to anything harmful, and also so that we are used to this type of dress in the future, should we pursue it.
Not because whatever we're handling is harmful. They will
Well, yeah. Practice. This is when we actually worked with bacteria, live bacteria, E. coli. On the right is a petri dish where we inserted a gene for red fluorescence, and you can see those little pink colonies. That's where the bacteria were able to express that. The petri dishes on the left are samples of other bacterial colonies that we worked with, though there's kind of condensation on the lid.
I just want to thank Ms. Zane again for feeding us and coming to school even with nights of no sleep, because she was preparing all these labs for us. It was a really tough experience, but without her, we sure couldn't have done it. So thank you, Ms. Zane.
Just normal high school experience, right? We're not even done yet. We have Mr. Dickey's program. Mr. Dickey has been teaching at Temple City High School since 1997, 21 years. Mr. Dickey currently teaches engineering, design, technology, and advanced computer-aided design classes. A fun fact, he enjoys hiking, stream fishing, and native trout in the Mammoth Mountain area. Dave is also the club advisor for the Christian Club at the high school. So welcome, Dave Dickey.
So thank you so much for inviting us to come share a little bit this evening. And we have a few of our amazing students. So I've been teaching, as Mike said, about 21 years. And one of the passions I have is for students to gain the vision of 3D design, innovations, creating new ideas and things. So these guys are going to share a little bit of what they've done in a few projects. The two classes are engineering, design, technology, and advanced computer design. And the first year, students go through about 4 or 5 projects where they're creating 3D models, sometimes building projects. The second year, they are going on with that and going to the JPL Mission Challenge, which I'm sure he's going to talk about, and then doing the project, more advanced projects. One thing about, last thing is that a lot of students going on to college are getting into engineering, mechanical engineering, architecture, industrial design, but they're really leaders in the 3D modeling fields because of the programs we have here, which are very unique to Southern California. So I want to just share that. I want to say thank you again for all the support from the district and the board, and we are very well funded and cared for, so we appreciate that. So this is Crystal Duan, Jenny Chen, Sherman Yan, and Ben G, and they're going to tell you about their projects.
So that was quick. So anyway, hello, welcome again. My name is Crystal Dong, and this was the ET Invention Project, which is basically a project where students were tasked with the assignment to create a mechanism out of foam board and wooden dowels and other wooden parts that could launch a ping pong ball 10 feet away into a bucket. Now, that's pretty hard. So our main power source was using rubber bands. And first, however, we did some research by getting inspiration from online sources and from previous models from other years. Then afterwards, we went into the planning stage where we sketched out our design, and we also did a simple 2D, kind of like a mock-up of how our design would work. Then afterwards, we used the 3D modeling software known as SketchUp to make our planned out model, and we also made a prototype as well as a final one. We also did the building process using, again, foam board, X-Acto knives, wooden dowels, basswood sticks, and hot glue guns, fancy. And we also did the testing project, which lasted about a week to test out our own mechanisms. Now, using this process was basically just to see how we could adapt to the uncommon or unexpected errors that we found in our design, and also helped us improve our design skills. Then I'll hand it off to the lovely Jenny Chen.
Hi, my name is Jenny Chen, and I'm going to be presenting the SolidWorks design project. And this project just tasked students to create a kitchen appliance through the use of SolidWorks, which is a different 3D modeling software, and it's the next step after SketchUp. And I decided to make a coffee maker and grinder to give it a unique twist. And these are the parts I made that were separately made. You made these sketches, you extruded them, you made some cuts, and you got the desired shape, and then you added these colors and textures, and it was just really fun. But the real thing that I really liked was the renderings. It made a realistic image of the model you made in the software, and it also worked with images so it could look like your model was actually sitting on a tabletop. And without this program, I would never have been exposed to SolidWorks or SketchUp, and I really like this field, so thank you. And here you go.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so hi, my name is Sherman, and I'm currently taking Mr. Tcusd Advanced CAD class. So one of the projects that we did in the beginning was the JPL Invention Challenge, and this year's theme was the Upright Pipe Challenge. So basically what the Upright Pipe Challenge is, you take this PVC pipe, it's laying down flat, and you rotate it 90 degrees on a platform within 60 seconds. Okay, so to tackle this challenge, I first started my sketches, basic pencil and paper, and I moved on to using the CAD program SolidWorks to create a simple mock-up of what my idea was, to make sure everything wouldn't collide if I were to build it. So then after all that planning and sketching, I moved on to 3D CAD designing using SolidWorks. And on the screen you can see the 3 different iterations of my CAD design. The first model, which was pretty basic to see if everything would work, and then the second model of more complex of different mechanisms, and the third final model was basically the whole thing. And after CAD, we move on to the build stage. So in order to save materials to make sure our mechanism works, we've created a half-scale model right here. This is the little one of the big one. And in this model, it has like every single mechanism that this has, except it's an older version. So by creating a half-scale model, I could see the weak points in the mechanism. For example, the arm was too fragile, so the way to fix it would to be moving down the stress points on the arm. So on the final model, I've shrunk down the height of the top, and then that would solve the issue. So after building the mechanism, we went and competed in the regionals at UCI, and we placed, like, I think, 5th place. So that after placing 5th place, we got to move on to the finals at JPL. And unfortunately there, we did not place in the top 3. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benny G. I'm presenting the SolidWorks clock design project. I'm also an advanced CAD. We did this project around a month and a half ago. And so, before I start this, so this project we were tasked to basically design in very high detail any sort of clock or like timekeeping device. And we were to keep in mind hypothetical like consumer marketing, the aesthetics behind it, and just the overall product. And so for mine, I decided to do a pocket watch. And to start, I did a concept drawing. So as seen here. So basically I designed the main frame for the pocket watch, and then also in the 3 drawings are dimensioned to get a rough estimate of like the sizing and such. And then for the sake of time, these are in snapshots. So for the first update, it's about 1 week after the first original research. These are the assembly part files, and then the update 2 is another week in. And then so to design, we use parts, separate parts, in order to, and then we use a combination of cuts, extrudes, and then revolves and other features to bring to life the model that we're trying to create. And using mates in an assembly, we're able to center the pieces on each other. And once we have that, we can see the model we're creating and go back and fix any design errors or anything we might have messed up on. And so finally, we can create a final product which is rendered, like Jenny talked about earlier, to give it a lifelike appearance. And so these are the final renders on a white background and on a studio black background of the watch.
Great job, guys. Thank you. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. I think our future is bright. I think we look for those cars that they're going to be making for us and all the other things that they're going to be doing for us. Again, let's give Dr. Lasher and Mr. Holmes a great round of applause also for leading today. So again, that's our STEM. That's just a few of the great opportunities that our students have. And so thank you for everything that you do in supporting the STEM opportunities for our students, and so much in the future for them. So thanks again.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, moving along, we are on to our public comments section. I don't believe anybody turned in anything. Okay, so no public comments. And with that, we're going to delve into a little more district business, and I want to offer up for those of you who may try to figure out when to a state you're welcome to leave. No, nobody's taking that offer. Okay. So we'll move on to district updates. We're going to start first with business services, and Marianne's from.
Good evening. I'd like to give you a brief update on the bond project. Temple City High School, the new chemical tanks have been installed at the pool as well as the pool deck, and they'll be pouring in place the retaining walls later this week. New irrigation at the school entrance has been installed, and planting material has been placed outside the administration building. And the last thing happening right now is new asphalt paving north of the 800 building. Cloverly and La Rosa are in their modernization phase 2. At La Rosa, the new glass doors and lighting have been installed, as well as flooring. And at Cloverly, the flooring, casework, and restroom fixtures are complete. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Marianne. And now we'll be moving on to both Ed Services and Personnel Services. Don,
I will start with Ed Services. I would like to thank all the elementary teachers that participated in the ELA-ELD pilot. We will be presenting Wonders curriculum to the board at the next board meeting for adoption. But they did a wonderful job of piloting 12 weeks for each pilot, and then arm wrestling for the final decision. So they made a really good decision on both pilots, and they're moving forward with a great product, which we will bring to you next time. Math and ELA, I have to thank Dr. Williams for leading that charge. We started with the secondary vendor fair for math and ELA, ELD this week, and that will be moving forward for a decision to pilot which vendor on there. So the teachers and Michael have been working very hard to narrow down the top choices recommended by the state. And Personnel Commission, we are in the process of doing a classified study of all jobs to make sure we're following the correct rules and responsibilities that are outlined by the contract. We are also working on position control to make sure all our ratios are correct, that people who are understaffed are fully staffed and people who are overstaffed, we can work that out. So that's where we are.
Okay, great. Thank you, Monica. With that, we're going to move on to bargaining unit comments. We'll start first with TCEA. Ellen,
Okay, thank you.
CSEA, thank you, Robin. Jesse, CSEA, oops, 823, 105 is Rob. Jesse?
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Then with that, we'll move on to student board member comments. Eileen, what do you have for us tonight?
Alright, good evening, everyone. So I was going to welcome the Australian exchange students to Temple City, but given none of them are here. But it's been really cool getting to go, see them come around campus, get lost. And then kind of like what makes me feel like my freshman years when they're kind of going around campus. And I'd like to also welcome everyone back from spring break. I know the Spanish students returned from their Spain trip in Europe, and Drumline just got back from Ohio from their national competition, so that's really cool. And then also, I'd like to congratulate and acknowledge the accomplishments of my peers involved with the STEAM programs at the high school. And I think it really is important to showcase the effort and the talents of the students and the staff that run it, and it's very inspiring to see people be able to do that. So moving on, there were a couple fun things that happened recently. I did have the honor of going to the La Rosa Steam Night on Friday. Woo-woo! Yeah, La Rosa, yep. So once again, that's highlighting the efforts of more of the TCUSD students as well. And the Temple City High School Rampage, so the TCHS student newspaper, actually took the Longdon Elementary School student newspaper to the LA Times. Printing press on Thursday. So they all got to see how the publishing press works. So that was pretty cool. And going on to high school, currently we're hosting our Mr. Temple City Meal Pageant to showcase the senior boys. We are having an upcoming basketball tournament sponsored by Twinkle Brown Sugar on April 26th, and there's a $100 prize. And currently going on is registration for classes, which does bring up item 19. People have messaged me on Facebook being like, is it true? Is that 3 years? They really going to be 2 years? So that's going to be talked about later, I'm sure. And prom is right around the corner, so the theme is the space between us based off of Wall-E, and it'll be at the Space Shuttle Endeavor. And we're currently trying something new this year, where we're hosting a dress drive where students and former students can donate past formal dresses. So people who may not be as fortunate to get a dress will still have an opportunity to go to prom. And then also the Brighter Side Extravaganza is coming up on May 2nd and 3rd, so tickets are available on their website, and so is the choreo showcase, excuse me. And we are working on preparations for Staff Appreciation Week that is coming up. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Eileen. We're going to now move on to board member comments, and we'll start with Member Marston tonight. Larry, what do you have for us?
Well, first of all, congrats to Ms. Riddell for her appointment to principal. Wish her all the luck in going forward at Emperor. And of course, congratulations to all the STEAM programs at the high school. You know, these students work so hard, and like they were saying, they work independently to pursue their passions. And you have to give kudos to the teachers and instructors and coaches there, because they also give their own time to these kids too. They're very passionate about it, and they're very good at it. And then the families. The families have to support these students too. So without them, you wouldn't have a lot of these kids participate. So we appreciate the support the families give. The dance team choreo, they had a competition, I believe, over the weekends. They, I forget what they placed, but they did pretty well. Third, thank you. They work hard too. I mean, I think they work all year long getting ready for this, and they're working all summer and very dedicated. And the drumline. Travel to Dayton, Ohio, that's a huge, huge logistical endeavor for a lot of these kids to even afford to go there. They have to raise money almost all season long to get there. And then they get bumped up to a higher class just weeks before they go, and they just faced it, and they took it, and they took some names. Here they did very well. And then unfortunately, you know, the airlines canceled their flights when they're coming home. The Boeing situation with the MAX, so they got caught up with that, and some of them missed Game of Thrones, they weren't too happy. So, you know, congratulations to them and their hard work, and the coaches that support them, and the families there too, because it's a whole team effort to get that group going, the bands, Brighter Side, all the kids, all the students, all the groups you have there. You know, they work so independently to do what they do and what they love, and you just gotta really appreciate that. So that's my comments.
Great, thank you, Larry. So we'll move on now to Member Lynn. Mike, what do you got?
Likewise, I want to give a shout out to our new principal, Emperor Principal, Maya Rudell. Congratulations. Kudos to our STEAM presenters this evening. Their showcase was fantastic. Great optics, but I also want to share that I don't think it's possible without the core courses and the elective courses that the students are currently taking at the high school. One of the questions I have is how many are participating in those AP biology courses. One team certainly did AP Calculus, AP English. I'm sure that all those courses and other courses combined together. But it's not just the high school courses that kids are taking. They all came from the middle school or a middle school, and they all originated from elementary school. So seeing elementary school teachers in the audience, a lot of work have gone in all these years, and this is the product that we saw as showcased this evening. So congratulations. So it's not just STEAM, it's everybody's work in our educational community. I attended the Assemblymember Chris Holden's policy roundtable on April 4th. The roundtable was about student mental health, and there is policy discussion about how to address this issue that we're seeing in the school environment, in the larger society in general, about mental health and how that ties into students' access to academics. I also recently completed last weekend the 3rd and 4th courses in the Masters in Governance training. Donna was there right along, supporting, rooting us we're in the same cohort. So the 3rd course was about finance, and the 4th course was about human resources. And the final course will be in May, and we will complete the Masters in Governance with a course in communications. And that completes my communication.
Great, thank you, Mike. Okay, Member Georgina, Tom, what do you have for us?
A lot. First of all, I wanted to thank staff for the STEAM presentations tonight. I think it's really important that we showcase our staff and our students and their accomplishments, so thank you for that. I wanted to congratulate Amber Liang, who is a student at Temple City High School. She was chosen as one of the distinguished young women in Los Angeles County. I also wanted to congratulate Nico Day, who was chosen as the Southern California Boys Athlete of the Week. He's a baseball player at Temple City High School. Our Model UN Club participated in a competition over spring break at USC, and they received 4 awards. We already mentioned the Science Olympiad team and their accomplishments. Let's see, the Choreo participated in Sharp Divisional, and they received several awards. I believe most of them were first places. And our auxiliaries participated in the Southern California, well, I don't know what it is, SCWGI Championship. I'm assuming it's Southern California something. And they, what is it?
Winter Guard.
Okay,
Yeah.
Winter Guard. Okay, and they placed 3rd. Also, we had some students that participated in the Los Angeles County Science Fair. Max Bati placed 1st in physics, and Tuan Nguyen, Isabel Lee, and Catherine Chen had special recognition in environmental management. So congratulations to all of them. We are going to have a TED Ed showcase on April 26th at La Rosa, and I believe tickets are available through Eventbrite. Let me know, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And I attended the California School Recognition Program, where Temple City High School is recognized as a California Distinguished School, and also received an exemplary award for the career technical education. So I want to congratulate everyone involved in that, and especially thank the staff that had to put together that application, because I'm sure that was a lot of extra work. But as a graduate of Temple City High School, I'm very proud and very excited that we received that award. And as Dr. Lynn mentioned, I attended the Masters in Governance last Friday and Saturday. And Friday was about school finances, and it was very interesting. I think there was a lot of information that the public would benefit from. And I was wondering if maybe when we do our budget, if we could include some of that information. It's important to know where our funding comes from and how we're limited in getting additional funding. So I appreciate that, and I think I've got everything. So thank you very much.
Great, thanks Donna. And I will go ahead and talk next. I, like everybody here, I really want to thank and show appreciation to the students, the teachers, the staff that organized the presentations tonight on Sister City and the STEAM program. So very exciting stuff going on. I, like Donna, had a chance to join the high school team down at the Disney Hotel on the 5th to see them receive their recognition for the California Distinguished School, and not just the California Distinguished School, but the California Exemplary School too. I want to thank Donna. She hosted a casino night to raise funds for grad night at her house on Saturday, and it was a well-attended event. I want to shout out, and most of you probably know this, but we have begun publishing a monthly newsletter, and it will be on the district website, and you can take a look at it there. You can also sign up to receive notifications in the future. I think Dr. Fricker can. Actually, Donna, it was more or less her idea for putting that together as well. Let's see, I noted a couple of open houses are coming up already next week at both Cloverly and Longman, so I'll look forward to attending those, as well as the TED Ed Club showcase on Friday. And with that, we'll move on to Member Nolan. What Ken, what do you have for us?
Just a couple of things. I'd like to thank all the people who put together our presentations today, including the staff and participants, and mainly the parents, because I don't think we recognize the parents who go to great lengths to be able to make sure the kids participate in these extracurricular activities. I also like to thank our welcome Ms. Rudell as a principal, and then a couple other ones. Last week was Small Business Week, but also this week, or this month, the whole month, is School Teacher Appreciation thing, and the classified employees will be seen, I think it's the next week, and I don't think people understand how important the teachers and the classified and the custodians are to the students at the high school, at any of the schools. If you go to most of the schools, they know almost everybody that works at that school site, including the custodian. So all these people who spend their time at the school sites, the teachers and the classified who support the teachers and the maintenance people who support everybody else, and the facilities and that, are doing a great job so far. Thank you very much. And also, just a general thing, and this ties to the budget in a sense. A long time ago, the state of California, and this is Governor Brown, decided he would do LCC as a way of funding us. But as time goes on, and each year you see, and in the following years you'll see even more, I think, the state is now legislating certain things that we get to do and they don't give us any money for it, like sexual harassment. In the past, there was like 40 items that the state give us money for, like transportation was one of the big ones. And if you had a district that had 100 square miles, you probably needed transportation. But little by little, the state is starting through legislation to take away some of the benefits that we had at a local level for doing a lot of things. And they're mandating we do certain things that cost us money, cost us general fund money. And so if you have a chance to see any of the state legislators, hopefully you'll be able to tell them that you would like them to stop helping us. Because every time they seem to help us, it seems to cost us money. I've yet to see any program that they came up with that actually helped us, per se. It always costs us money. And I also would like to also mention that, and this didn't happen in the state of California, luckily, but one of the things that some people did, with some hacking, and this is more of a classified employee should take this. But when somebody hacked into a school system in another state, what they did is they got the addresses of the parents and the phone numbers and the student's name and some curriculum. And then maybe 3 or 6 months later, a person would call the parents and say, your daughter is in classroom such and such at such and such school, and we have a rifle pointed at her, and we want X number of dollars. So there's nothing, if someone hacks into a file, there's no way of being able to tell whether it's important or not. So hopefully you guys will report any kind of hacking that develops in the school system. So far, we've been very lucky that we haven't had any real hacking or major problems with it. And I think that's it.
Great, thank you, Ken. And with that, we'll move on to superintendent comments. Dr. Vicker, what do you have for us?
Thank you very much. Well, just a status update report. So the district has gone through a 3-year action plan process. Most of the divisions across the central office or the district office, we have both developed and then submitted and evaluated 3-year plans for all divisions. That is going to lead into an overall strategic plan for our district. And it's really important for us to honor the work that has been done in the past across the district and all of the great programs that we have, some of which you've seen here tonight and in previous board meetings. And we want to make sure that we evaluate where those programs are and what those programs need, and then how do we elevate or move those programs forward across the district so that all of our students have access to incredible opportunities and then build their futures wherever they want to go. So building this roadmap or this strategic plan has become of primary importance for us, but that is one that always includes feedback and information from all stakeholders across the district. So as we've met across the district, we have now met with our site administration. We've looked at the major initiatives that we know are on the horizon coming into next year. And then our principals will be taking that work back to their school sites and gathering information, input, feedback from our staff, which is critically important as we, kind of evaluate that and make critical decisions for the district moving forward. So we hope to bring all of that back to you at the end of May and have that work completed by then and have a presentation ready for the board with regard to our 3-year planning and strategic planning. I just want to mention that the city had recognized the Deputy of the Year, Deputy Bart Marshall, and then also the Firefighter of the Year, and that was Specialist Claren McAllister. And I want to mention them specifically because whenever we have concerns across the district at any site, we often rely on getting information from both our fire and police officers, and they do a tremendous amount of support, not only for us as a school district, but also for our community, and they are definitely should be held in the highest regard. So I just want to acknowledge not only the Officer of the Year and then the Firefighter of the Year, but the entire departments, and we just appreciate their service and ongoing support for our school district. I know that I can say that on behalf of all our site principals who work directly or more closely with them. But anyway, I would like to mention that, and that concludes my report.
Great, thank you, Kim. The next item on our agenda is written communications. Anybody have anything to share?
Just, we got a letter, I think everybody got the standard letter from the state assembly member. They complimented him on our winning the award for the high school.
Okay, I received a letter from LACO, and I will read an abbreviated version of the first paragraph. Under Ed Code, section 421.31, the Los Angeles County Superintendent of Schools has completed a review of the Temple City Unified School District's 2018-19 second interim report. Our analysis of the data provided indicates the district should be able to meet its financial obligations for the current year and subsequent 2 fiscal years. We therefore concur with the district's positive certification and offer our comments. And the main focus of their comments was that we are going to be deficit spending, which we have money available for from prior year carryover, but they're concerned about that. Anyway, it's nice to get the approval from the county. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the information item portion of our agenda, starting first with educational services. And first item is special ed presentation on inclusion. And Monica, I see that there's, okay, go ahead.
Good evening, members of the board, members of cabinet. So I'm up again. And it's always a hard act to follow when you've got all those presentations, but I'm gonna do my best. So this time around, I'm here. Last time we talked a little bit about the data and about where we were and where we need to go. This time around, we're talking more about the plan and how we're gonna get there in our first phase. So this is just a little review. We are all guided under the least restrictive environment law. It's a federal law where all students need to be educated to the maximum extent possible within the general education setting. And of course, we have not met our least restrictive environment requirements in the last 3 years, which is why we are in program and review. And the program and review process, this is was presented at the last board meeting. The first year is where you present a plan of improvement to the California Department of Education. The second year is where you begin to implement that plan so that we can hopefully start to reduce the percentage or increase the percentage of students participating in general education 80% or more of their day. So that's the goal. Year 3 is where you refine that improvement plan. And again, you continue to increase and work towards reaching the goal that was set, the target that was set by CDE. Year 4, if there have been no improvements, fiscal sanctions at the tune of 15%, which I think last time we talked, over almost $500,000, $500,000, would be sanctioned from our special education funding. And so when we talked about PIR, we talked last time too that we were in PIR at our 3rd year. We were walking into some fiscal sanction situations, but because of the recalibration of the data, right? So now CDE is starting to look at more recent data. They're starting to look at our dashboard data. Because of that recalibration of data, we're back at year 1 across the board, across California. And so if you see on our first year 1, last year in 2017-18, we were already in year 1. So that's our year 1, where Tcusd was 42%. 42% of our students were participating in 80% or more general education, and the state target was 51.2. So this year, 18-19, we'll be walking into our year 2 because we're not quite there yet, right? And so next year, we don't know what the target's going to be. Typically, they've been around the 50% mark. I've seen it at 49 before. I've seen it at 52 before. This year, it's at 51.2. So we don't know where it's going to go, and it's sort of a moving target. But currently, or as of the December 1 CDE collection of data, we were approximately at 44%, so we still have not met that target. In year 3, which is 2019-20, next year, our target, the Temple City's goal, is to try to reach 55%. So having slightly over 50% of our students in general education for more than half of or 80% of their day. That's our target in year 3, or in 1920. Any questions on that? Please, Mr. Nolan.
Do we pay this out of the general fund, or do we pay this out of the special pot of money?
Special ed comes from the general fund. And it's primarily sourced from the federal government, some from the state, but it is in the general fund.
So they don't give us enough? That's what
No.
you're saying, the state and the federal?
Right.
Do not give us enough money?
They fund about 40% of what we're required to do, and we'll go through that a little deeper when we do the budget again.
Mindy, just for clarification, the percentages that we have for TCUSD 42, 44, 55, those are the percentage of students that have to be in general education 80% of the time.
Yes, 80% of their day. Okay. Last time we also had some questions from the audience, from the community regarding what are the benefits, what are some of the benefits for our students. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of research out there. There's a little more research on benefits to students with disabilities, but there's still quite a bit of research. So what I tried to do for you tonight is to give you research that's relevant to us, so there's a lot of international research, there's a lot of research regarding special populations. So what I tried to do was find research that was most relevant to our district. And in a longitudinal study, the study was over 10 years, the findings were that increased time in general education positively correlated. So it positively correlated with higher attendance of students with special needs, with lower rates of discipline reports. So they're in general ed classes, they're going to mimic what their peers are doing. Behaviors aren't typically occurring in the general education classroom, and so they're not going to mimic that as much. There's better post-secondary outcomes. So after graduation, after they turn 22, they have better outcomes in areas of employment and areas of independent living. I took this quote from another piece of research. So on average, students with disabilities perform significantly better on measures of language or math when they're in a inclusive setting, when they're being taught with their general education peers. Students with disabilities are almost 5 times more likely to graduate on time. And this is a pretty recent research article from 2015. Please.
On the age 22, what you mentioned on that other page, is that a magic number or something? Why is age 22 so significant?
So under IDEA, we are responsible for students' education if they have an IEP between the ages of 3 and 22. So in that case, if they haven't earned a diploma by the time they're 18 or by the time they finish high school, we still have a responsibility to educate them between an additional 4 years after high school.
At our expense.
Yes. Yes, it's our responsibility. And this is just some findings that I took from one of the articles that I looked at. So if you'll notice in that first column, I don't have a little thing. That was somebody else's, I got it, okay. So in the first column, you'll see that students that are included in general education between 80 and 100% of the time, so this column here, performed, and they compared 2 different measures. The green you see here is non-low income students, and then the orange here is the low income students. Performed at, scored 30 and 28 on standardized measures. And standardized measures are those assessments that special ed teachers and school psychologists typically use to assess whether or not the student is eligible for special education. So in those measures, and in students who are included 40 to 79% in general education, slightly lower than that, right, in both areas. And then students included 0 to 40% in general education, 23 points to 21 points as compared to 30 and 28. And these were students with similar disabilities, with similar abilities across the board.
They were in the general population?
I'm sorry?
They were in the general population?
So these were students that were educated in the general population, the highest scoring students, the 80% to 100%. And these students were in general education 40 to 80%. And then these students were in general education 0 to 40%. Benefits to students without disabilities. So there's always a concern. Sometimes there's behaviors. Is it going to take too much of the general education teacher's time? And this is the research that I found. So the National Council on Disability is a very recent document. You can actually download it for free. Articles aren't free anymore, unless you're studying, I guess. So you can download that for free. It's pretty hefty, so you need some bedtime reading. I would recommend that. But what was found, the findings were that for students with general education students, so for non-disabled students who are participating in these inclusive classrooms with special ed students, with maybe a support from a special educator or a paraprofessional, they have a tendency to have a reduced fear of differences between people. They increase their comfort and awareness of these differences are increased. They have a growth in social recognition. and they have improvements in self-concept. So the general ed students who are in these non-disabled students that are in these inclusive settings have an improved self-concept. And they experience growth in ethical principles. A quote that I took, so inclusion was associated with positive or neutral effects. So students that are included, non-disabled students that were assessed or tested in this research, the researchers found that there was either positive correlation, that their academic progress improved, or there was no change at all. And so they took, they took students that were in inclusive settings, and they took students who were not in inclusive settings and compared those two. We have the quote on the bottom, researchers noted that the strategies, so this is some of the reasoning behind why there's improved academics. The strategies and the teaching techniques that they're using for special ed students, the strategies and the teaching techniques that are included in my credential, an educational specialist credential, was also meeting the needs of students who are not yet identified. We're also meeting the needs of students who were struggling and maybe would not have been eligible for special education. So they were benefiting from those teaching strategies as well. This was, we introduced this last time. This is our proposed continuum. Should I go over this in much detail or?
In general.
In general.
Just a reminder.
Okay, just as a reminder, this box over here, it says SAI-SC, that's specialized academic instruction in a self-contained setting. So these students receive their core instruction in a special ed classroom with a special ed teacher. So this particular setting is more appropriate for students with moderate to profound, severe to profound disabilities. Okay? Here, SAI, specialized academic instruction, core, or in the elementary school we would also call it a resource lab. These students are low moderate to severe. Students aren't participating in a curriculum that would lead them towards a diploma very often. Right here, the co-teaching model, this is a very supported setting for students who are struggling a little more. Maybe your former STC student would be supported in a co-teaching model in the core academic areas. So you have language arts and math in the goal areas. We have collaborative teaching over here, and it's getting progressively less supported, right? So we have collaborative teaching over here, where the general education teacher might be supported by a special ed teacher, or a special ed or a paraprofessional to support students within the classroom. And then we have consultation. Students who are receiving consultative services are on their way out. They're on their way to being exited. They're on their way to returning to the general education completely. This is very, very little interaction really with the student themselves. It's more a consultation between the special educator and the general educator. And then of course you have general education, which is, there's no supports. There could be accommodations embedded. Accommodations can be afforded to everyone. Accommodations can be embedded. Adaptations could be done to the instruction, but not the material that's being instructed.
Mindy, for the compliance requirement of the 80% in Gen Ed, with the co-teaching, with that co-teaching model where you have the special education teacher co-teaching with the Gen Ed teacher, would that constitute as 100% Gen Ed because the child has access to Gen Ed?
Right. So what constitutes a special ed class and a general ed class, Dr. Wayne, you're totally right, is the classroom makeup. So if there's general education students within the classroom, even if it's being taught by a special educator, that is a general education classroom. And so those services would then be would be provided within a general education setting when there's a combination of students. Now this could be, it's not so much a linear model, I mean it looks linear here, but really these students who are receiving co-teaching might still be pulled out. They might still be pulled out to get support, extra support for specific skill areas. So yes, while they're in the co-teaching setting, they are in general education. It is not considered a special education.
So one quick follow-up question to this. So for the compliance requirement of the 80% mainstreaming criteria, would the state filter the IEPs and determine what percentage of time students are in gen ed, or do we report it out through SACE?
So SACE is the engine where that CalPADS and CDE draws information. So that information is inputted into SACE by our case carriers. They do that calculation. And during certain times of the year, it'll be more often than twice a year now, but during certain parts of the year, CDE will be drawing this information from CalPADS. So it's not an input, it's data that they draw.
So sorry.
No, please.
That co-teaching will be coded. There should be a drop down, some sort of way to code, let's say this co-teaching example, in SACE, such that it doesn't hurt us, doesn't constitute as a more restrictive learning environment for the child.
Absolutely. Good. Please.
Does the child participate in each one of those? Or we pick the one that suits the child the
Yes.
best?
So based on the child's needs, if they have more severe needs, they'd be participating in classroom settings that are more towards this end.
Okay, and each one of them has their individual training program that tells you what classification they're gonna be in, which one of these classifications. And when they go in the general population, it goes with them.
So what the student needs is determined by an IEP team. So by a team of educators. It's determined by data. It's determined by how they're progressing in school, their performance. So there's a lot of factors taken into consideration when we talk about placement, when we talk about what the type of programming that the student needs. Does that answer your question?
Well, do we have to rewrite the individual training plan as a kid or the child progresses through the system?
Yes, we would. We would absolutely. We do meet on at least annually for every child. So every child that has an IEP has an IEP team meeting at least once a year. More often than not, we have it multiple times a year. But at least one time a year.
And that's a couple hundred kids? Children?
We have 570 or so, 580.
5,000, 10%.
10%, yes. Okay, how will we get there? So this is a little bit of our plan. What we've done so far is we've done some initial trainings. So on March 4th, our attorneys, the attorneys who are representing us in the area of special education, came and did a training for administrators and for some of our union members to really, educate them and to educate us regarding the laws around this and why we're doing this. On March 18th, on the district-wide professional development day, we had trainers from LACO, Los Angeles County Office of Education, come and give us some training regarding inclusion, what that could possibly look like, what are some instructional needs behind inclusion. So that's what we've done so far. We are in progress of, we're really taking a look at our data, we're really trying to scrub our data, because it is a percentage that's generated by the case carriers. And based on, some of our schedules are a little complicated, based on our short Wednesdays, another school has a short Tuesday. Based on those schedules, you can find error because it's a human calculation, right? And so we've worked really hard to scrub this data. We also worked really hard to identify students with mild disabilities who could access more general education with some supports. We're currently and will be holding IEP team meetings to offer them more inclusive opportunities for students so that they can reach the 80% threshold. And as we're holding transition IEP meetings, that's a piece of the IEP where we have to hold the meeting, we have to hold transition meetings every time a student is changing levels. So, for instance, from 6th grade to 7th grade, so we're going from elementary to middle, we'll be holding those IEP meetings as well, which is another opportunity for us to make sure that they are accessing as much general education as possible. And so you've seen this chart before, but I have a new number in here to share, which I'm kind of excited about. So this was the 2015-16 data. We're at about 45%. The target was 49.2. In the 2017-18 data, we were at 42%, our target was 51.2. So we don't have a target yet from CDE, we will find that out shortly, probably in the next months. Originally, when I presented to you last time, we were at 44%. But after holding some IEPT meetings and doing some data scrubbing, we're actually closer to 50%. So, she's had a lot of IEPT meetings with me. Questions about that at all? Okay, so our next steps is to develop a master schedule with the site leaders. We're going to roll out our phase 1 of implementation, which would be a collaborative setting. So this is where the special educator maybe has a period or two, or I'm talking secondary, has some time during the day to help and support the general educator who might have some special students with special needs. This is where we have a para-educator support when the special educator is not there. This is also where we determine how many of these settings do we need? How many students are we looking at? We are going to be providing support and training for staff. We are sending quite a few of our teachers, our teaching teams, to a co-teaching training. While we're not implementing the co-teaching piece quite yet, a lot of what you can glean from a co-teaching training could benefit the teaching teams in a collaborative setting. So we're kind of starting that process. And then we're also looking into providing staff opportunities to observe some model programs, some local programs around here. And so this is just a description of what collaborative teaching looks like. It's students with mild disabilities who are on track. They're on track to earn a diploma. Instructions provided by the general educator with some curriculum supports from the special educator and with accommodations embedded. We're looking at students in the population who would naturally have been in the gen ed setting anyway. And we have identified roughly 45. We're down to about 30. But roughly 45 students in this category that we're looking to move, just a little closer to that 80% threshold. And then where site teachers, administrators, in conjunction, will schedule and hold IEP meetings to offer these services to the 45 students. 45? Huh? I'm sorry, 45 or 30 students? So 45 was what we identified as our goal, as students who are close to that threshold who really wouldn't bat an eye if they moved to the 80%. We've held a lot of meetings already, so we're down to about 30.
So we have 30 meetings for parents to move their kids. In April, we want to have these 30 meetings. Tomorrow. And then I guess it's not, can I ask you a question now or can I wait? I'll wait.
We'll wait.
I'm just wondering, what if the parent says no? Like, what if they don't want their child to
Yes.
listen to?
So that's a good question. Absolutely. This is an IEP team decision. The parent is a very important member of this IEP team. If they should feel that this is not the right movement for them, this is not the right setting for their child, they don't want to let go of the supports, we'll continue to work with that family. We'll continue to collect data, because it's really down to the data, right? We'll continue to collect data, then we won't meet that 45. So what if we do that? Then we'd be walking into another year of program in review.
Mindy, students who are mildly disabled, usually they are served by an RSP teacher in a small group setting. In a collaborative teaching setup, I'm assuming that the students are going to be in different classes. So how would that arrangement work where the RSP teacher, I'm guessing, are pushed into the classes? But originally, the kids are with the RSP teachers in a small group setting, but they're coming from different teachers.
So what that could look like, and we still have to look more into what our actual numbers are, right? So once that all falls, and that dust settles, and we figure out who we need to support, what we do is with the scheduling, we can schedule a particular, collaborative teacher who might be willing to take 15% of your, 3 to 5 special ed students who weren't already on their caseload, or who weren't already in the general ed setting in the first place. And then we would provide that support, the additional adult, so the paraeducator, and then the special ed teacher, so the RSP teacher, would then be pushing in, regularly to support the students, to support the teacher, to do some team teaching possibly for that particular classroom.
Just for clarification.
Just to clarify that a little bit more, it's really going to depend on, we've identified that there could be that 45 students who are very close to that 80%, that could move into the general education setting for slightly more time. It's minimal. Where those students land scheduling wise will determine how we, who we select as a collaborative teacher and then how we support that teacher. So identification, first step, we're gonna do that. We're gonna hold those meetings. We're gonna make sure that the families feel very, very supported. Should they not wanna go into or increase that percentage at this time, it is completely all right. They are a critical part of that team, so we wanna be very mindful of that. But for those who do and go into that 80% range, then we want to make sure that we pair them with a nice collaborative teacher who has the training and support to be very effective into the classroom. So we will handle that as a phase 2 after we identify the kids in that whole phase.
Thank you. Just to further clarify, that it's not just the RSP teacher, but also the inclusion aides and the paraprofessionals, the adults that are available within the current special education human resources system, right? So we're not looking at mid-year hires or redesignation of job descriptions. We're just tweaking the kids, IEPs of students who are close to the 80% mark, such that we're doing quick amendments to those IEPs as opposed to full triennials.
Yes. And to be specific, we're looking at percentages between 70 and 80. So it's a very slight, a lot of them fell within like 78%, it's a 2%. They're already in the general ed pretty much 80%. We're just making the documentation meet the threshold. Please.
The students that you say are disabled,
yes.
Do all the people attend our schools, all the people listed here, this report is only for, what happens with a student who's disabled who can't physically leave their house?
We have different programs for students who are homebound. It's called home and hospital, and that's really not part of...
Even if they're a special education?
Yes. So our 3-year plan, phase 1 is to implement the collaborative teaching model for students with mild disabilities. We would be monitoring the progress of students in collaboration with in collaborative teaching settings to ensure that their IEPs are being met and to ensure that whatever supports are there are meeting their needs. We are also going to, at the same time, simultaneously, we're also, because we're going to get more initials, right? We're going to get more requests to test. At the same time, we're also going to be very mindful and watching for those IEPs to make sure that we're keeping that 80% threshold at the forefront. Not just because it's a number, not just because it's for documentation and it helps us with our data, but because it's really the best for students, as we've seen in the research. And then we'll consistently monitor and reevaluate staffing needs regularly. Okay, we'll continue to provide support and training for the collaborative teaching teams for site administrators. What are site administrators looking at when they're going into these classrooms and it's collaboratively taught? So that's different from what we've had to look at before. So there'll be support and training for site administrators. There's going to be support and training for our instructional aides to help with that instructional piece within the general education classrooms. And as a whole, we'll be providing professional development in the area of differentiated instruction. And differentiated instruction is where you embed those accommodations, you embed those, those little pieces of assistance within your instruction, within your assignments, within your classroom, so that more students can access the And then we'll be beginning to plan for phase 2 of implementation following here. So as a quick graphic, phase 1 will look like the collaborative structure of implementation. And then phase 2 will look, so this is going to be students with our mild disabilities. Phase 2, if we haven't met that threshold, or if we're still needing to work a little more, we probably will. We're going to also talk about the collaborative structure for students with high moderate disabilities. So they're moderate, but they're higher. To low moderate disabilities to be included in science, social studies, and elective courses, which a lot of our students are now already, but more in a structured and supported way. And then to start looking at the co-teaching structure for the high moderate and to low moderate student with disabilities in English language arts and math. And then phase 3 is just to reevaluate all those teaching structures from general education to our self-contained classes. Any questions?
Mindy,
Yes.
the slide where, let me see if I can find the slide number. Was it the 45 kids that are low-hanging fruits, I should say, right?
Right.
We're talking about quick amendments.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how many of those 45 are academic as opposed to behavioral?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what percentage of the 45 that are borderline 80% mainstream are academic as opposed to behavioral?
Oh, academic versus behavioral. So all of the 45 students, I don't have the exact number, but there were some students with mild autism who do present a behavior, but they will be going in there with their aides. They'll be what? They'll be going in there with their aides. They already have aides to support the behavior piece. And they're already in general education. We're just pushing a 2 or 3 or 5% more.
A few more percentages?
Yes.
Okay.
For the special education, as the children progress through the academic arena, do we have any special classes for them when they go into the general population, or they just go into the general population with the same basic classes that we're offering for English students?
We'll be offering the same general education classes that we offer for all students, if the special needs student is able to access it.
I'm gonna just talk about low-hanging fruits because this is very comprehensive, and I'm wrapping my head around the numbers and looking at the plan. And I'll be remiss if I don't ask this question. I'm sure that you've considered elementary, middle school, recess times, PE times, all those opportunities where kids have access to gen ed.
Absolutely.
In the data scoring process. Okay.
We have.
And I want to tag on to that too. And in some of those cases, looking at those IEPs case by case, making sure that those calculations were accurate and accurately reflected in SACE. I think the work that Minnie and her team have done just to shore up any miscalculation where it was a 2% or 3% differential, and just the recalculating of making sure assembly time or recess time, lunchtime, anytime when a student is in and amongst their general ed peers, that was calculated correctly. So I think that was step one, even before, as we started to look into this and look into the holistic plan that we presented. So that contributed to some of that increased percentage that you saw tonight, and that recalculation was done and re-entered correctly.
Last time when Dr. Fricker made a presentation, I asked a question about MTSS, and Tier 2 interventions is gen ed by definition. And have we also plucked that low-hanging fruit? in this factor?
We're looking at both tier 1 and tier 2 level interventions. Tier 3 would be your special education, obviously, but we're looking at tier 1 and tier 2 in terms of an initiative for next year, making sure that at all levels, elementary, intermediate, and high school, we put in the intervention strategies and supports so that we can support our teachers, both special ed and general ed teachers, with tier 1 and tier 2 strategies and interventions inside of the classroom. So that it is on our radar to make sure that we continuously build that out and evolve that as we go through this process.
That's for the future, but what I'm saying is, for the students who are currently in tier 3, instead of, the co-teaching could be with the tier 2 intervention staff. So moving down gradually as opposed to here, directly to tier 1, and then having that major jump. So from tier 3, if we have tier 2 existing, to get that 80%, we can move some of the tier 3 down to tier 2 first, without touching tier 1.
And
That's what I mean.
And that would be your collaborative setting, would be tier 2, and so would your co-teaching. Those would be the two options to provide that tier 2 level support. We are starting this progression with the collaborative setting. Next year, we'll move into the co-teaching setting when we have enough time to train our staff amply and make sure that we find those pairs of teachers that would be coming together.
When you use the word disability, are you talking about physical disability or mental disability?
So the disability as defined by the 13 areas of eligibility, it's hard to, and I know I speak a lot of specialties, but it's essentially cognitive. It could be cognitive in nature. It could be processing in nature. It isn't mental as in a mental health kind of situation. And it could be physical as well. But a lot of our students, whatever the disability is, whatever the challenge is, that challenge has to impact them significantly in the general education in order to even qualify for an IEP. But a lot of our students, you couldn't tell because they look and talk and play like everybody else. So their challenges are in the way they learn.
So none of the students who are in this program are identified, they don't wear a letter or something, or a special color or something.
Can't do that.
It indicates that they're disabled in some sense.
No.
And then maybe there was a email that Monica shared with us.
yes.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, so I have an email here from one of our own. I gave you data, from Indiana. I gave you data from, Texas. But I thought what's more powerful than anything else is data actually from one of our own staff members, one of our own teachers. So she's given me permission to read it. This is from Patty Slater. So she writes, I am a second grade general education teacher with a student with special needs, fully included in my class this year. I will admit I was skeptical as to whether or not I could live up to the expectations of being a valuable teacher to him as well as the 21 other children in my class. I can honestly say without hesitation, this year has been one of the best of my 25 teaching years. I don't know that I'm doing this justice, but I'm gonna try. It has been a great learning experience for me, as it does require a lot of coordination, organization, and planning ahead to make it work. This student has blossomed so much this year and fully participates in all that the other students do. No one thinks of him as anything other than a fellow classmate, friend, and peer. I worried that with a full inclusion student, the other students would lose out. Quite contrary, these students not only get all the attention they need from me as their teacher, they are so much better prepared to live in the world where all are treated equally. I truly believe that education is better for all when all are serviced together. I see kids play together, work together, help each other, show respect for each other, and most importantly, realize through day-to-day interaction that old cliche, we are more alike than we are different. I have grown so much personally to have this child in my class. Dreams are realized each and every day. Just hearing my other students cheer him on and encourage him enables him to grow in so many ways. I suppose I can best sum up full inclusion by saying what it has given me and done for me, what it has allowed all students to be involved in, what it has given to one small child is invaluable. Full inclusion has put education in a new light, a light that shines brightly for all.
Ellen,
I just want to say thank you for this plan. We've been waiting for a plan,
Oh.
and I'm so grateful. There's a plan, and in plans, you know, there's problems with plans. It causes a little chaos, there's a little bit of change, but just very grateful. Thank you. And then 2 quick questions, just 1 minute. Who is writing all these IEPs? Are you sitting in that meeting? Because as you explain this, I'm just envisioning a parent sitting there and getting all this information in and being confused. So are you going to all these meetings? Are our special ed teachers prepared? How's it going? Because I know you're doing them.
Yes. So for the IEP team meetings where there's just a clerical error, I'm not going to those because that wasn't a change in anything. It was a calculation error, right? So those are amendments I don't need to be in. I'm participating in those where we have that, 5 to 10% that we'd like to really offer this parent. So I'll be in those, Lisa will be in those. So yes, we are doing these IEPs.
And you're calling it in, so you're acting as the administrator. Is there a special ed teacher in there as well? Is there a teacher in there?
Yes.
So it's a lot of just, let's go to these IEPs. This is what we're doing, right? Yeah, you've got to. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mindy, very much for this presentation. Okay, moving along, we are up to item number 19, which is a discussion about the freedom of education requirement. Monica, you want to do this?
So I had to thank Dr. Williams for putting this together. And I know a few years ago we thought this was passed by the board, but we're just revisiting to make sure it was done. So we have proposed that the physical graduation requirement go from 3 years down to 2, which reflects the California Code of Education and surrounding districts. It gives our children the chance to choose more college prep and college readiness classes. And we have spoken to the union and I have spoken to the teachers at the high school to come up with, like, PE is still an option for kids who want to take it as an elective, but we're moving it down to 2 years for a requirement for high school education.
So you'll bring us that direction?
Yes.
And this is only for PE students? I mean, I think we as a group, didn't we, at one time, didn't we vote on changing, like marching and et cetera was considered PE?
It is. It's sports count for PE, marching band, anything that has some kind of movement and has the PE standards in it. I think that was several years ago. I think there was some misunderstanding of whether it was 2 year or 3 year that change was made. So we are just trying to clean that up, making sure that we make it the 2 year requirement for the high school students.
And so they don't really have to take PE if they take one of the other classes, like band or where they march along.
Well, it depends on the number of years they're taking it. So you have to make sure they fulfill the 20 units of PE. So marching band might cover some of it, but not all of it. We have to take a look at the courses that are involved.
Yes. Well, actually, I wanted to ask Eileen, she mentioned that she's heard from several students, and I was just wondering what the feedback was from the students.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, just for clarification, this will, if this were to be approved, be effective for the graduating class of 2020, which are the current juniors. So I did get quite a few messages asking, is this going to be approved? Because we're doing registration at the moment, and people are trying to figure out if they need to put PE on their schedule or not, which was very convenient that this was put on.
Actually, the counselors and we have met. PE is an option just pending on the thing, but pending on the vote. But students were asked to do a backup elective, so they were supposed to pick 2 just in case.
Yeah, so based off the feedback, a lot of people are really hoping that this does pass. Personally, I'm a senior in PE, So I'm a little sad.
Oops.
And I think, can I tell you, it's retroactive for all, I mean, it's good for all grades, not just 11th graders. So we'll start with 9th, 10th, it will apply to all of them.
Everybody but you.
Everybody but you, I'm so sorry.
For 1 year.
Could you provide some examples of extracurricular sports that could count towards PE?
Football, basketball, track, cross country, any of the CIF sports that we have. And then marching band, PEP are also considered.
So for the students watching this YouTube recording, they can participate in extracurricular sports that count towards 2 years of PE and still have time left over to take additional electives such as the STEAM courses that we have available for them.
That is correct, or foreign language.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to item number 20. It's about a new course for Temple City High School called Heritage Chinese.
Yes, this one is designed to target our native Chinese speakers. And it's offered at schools as part of the foreign language program. So we have Chinese 1 and 2. And that is for non-native speakers, and this class is targeting native speakers, so it gives them another chance to take a foreign language.
That'll be coming back for action.
Yes, for action.
Is this considered elective?
Yes, but it's an elective, but it fulfills the foreign language requirement for college admission, A through G.
And are you looking at offering one section a semester or more, or is there a lot of students that?
We're taking a look at numbers right now, but I believe they have at least one full section, if not more.
Eileen, you have a question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. In the background analysis, it did say Heritage Chinese is an introductory course for students who have a speaking, listening background in Mandarin or Cantonese, which are 2 separate languages. So I was wondering, is Heritage Chinese going to be focused in Mandarin and Cantonese, since there's that clause that says Mandarin or Cantonese? Or is it just a Mandarin course?
I think it's predominantly a Mandarin course, but once we get a sense of who wants to take the class, we can assess it at that time.
All right, thank you.
I did some research when I was reading this packet because I had an original question which I answered myself. The Mandarin Cantonese is, what the course is offering is the ability to read characters. So the characters are universal in both dialects.
Okay. We will now move on to item 21, which is to present the new course for Temple City High School Studies in Geography.
Can I interject? Can we table that one for next time, please?
Sure. Okay, so table. And then item 22, review the Williams Complaint Quarterly Summary, and there are none. So I think we take care of that one. Okay. Moving on to the action portion of our agenda. The first item has to do with a tie. There was a CSBA Association Delegate Assembly election in the March timeframe, and we were to elect 2 candidates, and one was a clear winner, but second and third, or second place tie candidates are now being considered again. So we have a choice of voting for Bob Jin or Jennifer Freeman, and I guess I would like to ask for a motion in a second on candidate.
Okay, I'll move that we vote for Bob Jin, who we voted for last time.
Right,
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Member Georgino for Bob Jen, a second from Member Marston, and this is a roll call vote. Member Georgino?
Yes.
Member Marston?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
Member Nollenberg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so carries 5-0. Okay, moving on to item 24, calls for a motion to approve resolution 1819-15, authorizing memberships in educational societies, associations, and organizations for 2019-20. This is something we do every year. May I have a motion and a second to approve this?
I'll move to approve the resolution.
We have a motion from Member Marston,
Second.
second from Member Nollenberg. All in favor, please say, oh no, sorry, roll call vote. Member Georgina?
Yes.
Member Marston?
Yes.
Member Lynn?
Yes.
Member Nollenberg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so that motion carries unanimously as well. Moving on to Ed Services, we have a motion before us to approve a job description from Adult Education Temple City Community Middle School with an assistant principal position, which would be basically part-time, no more than 6 hours a week. So may I have a motion to approve, please?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
A motion from Member Nolenberg, a second from
I'll second.
Member Marston. Yes, I should ask if there's any comments or questions.
Just wanted to comment that this is being funded out of the grant, not out of the general fund.
Correct, by PCC.
Correct, that's correct.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Moving down to business services, item 26 calls for a motion to approve change order number 4 to to Angeles Contractor Inc. for the Longview Elementary School Modernization Project in the amount of $19,884. May I have a motion to approve, please?
I'll move approval.
Okay, a motion from Member Georgina
I'll second.
and a second from Member Nolenberg. Comments or questions? Oh, we have a presentation.
Just in case you guys have any questions, this is the final change order for the project.
It's pretty straightforward. I think.
Next agenda item is the notice of completion.
Yeah. So, no comments or questions, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so the motion carries 5-0. So, moving down to item 27, it calls for a motion to approve the notice of completion and release of retention to Angeles Contractor Inc. for the London Elementary Modernization Project in the amount of $8,789,039. May I have a motion to approve and a second, please?
I'll move to approve the notice.
I'll second. So we have a motion from Member Marston, a second from Member Lynn. Comments or questions?
And this is within the budget, right?
Yes.
That's all that is. There is an additional $462,000 in change retention remaining. You're going to come back when that will be completed and ask for that, or is that not convenient?
The notice of completion will also release that, but we're going to hold on to it for a little bit. There's actually a stop notice pending.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, the next item 28, calls for a motion to consider approval of addendum to an employment contract for the superintendent, and I have a statement I would like to read as soon as I find it. My word, oh, I've got it here tucked in. Okay. Okay, pursuant to Government Code Section 54-953, Subdivision C3, the board provides this oral summary of proposed salary recommendations for Superintendent Dr. Kimberly Fricker. It is proposed that Dr. Fricker receive a 4.5% increase to the annual salary amounts identified in Section 5AI through III of her current contract, originally approved on January 9, 2019. The 4.5% increase is commensurate with the ongoing salary increase that was previously provided to all management employees retroactive to July 1, but not to Dr. Fricker retroactive to January 9. The 4.5% increase is proposed to be applied retroactive to January 9, 2019. All other terms and conditions of Dr. Fricker's current contract shall remain unchanged. May I have a motion to approve in a second?
I'll move to approve the addendum.
Okay, motion from Member Marston, second from Member Nolenberg. Any comments or questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. And with that, we are on to the consent portion of our agenda, which involves approval of routine items by one motion and one vote unless a member of the board or audience requests that any item be reviewed and voted upon separately. And prior to the night's meeting, Member Georgina told me she wanted to pull items 29 and 30, which have to do with Teacher Appreciation Week and Classified Employee Week as a separate vote. And I also would like to pull item 35, certificated personnel order, because my son is on there and as a separate vote as well. So may I have a motion to approve items 31 through 34 and item 36, please?
I would like to make the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion from Member Lynn and a second from Member Marston. Comments or questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those items carry 5-0. And with that, I'll let Donna explain why she wanted to pull these two out.
I just thought it was important that we publicly recognize all the work that our teachers and classified staff do and not just not just approve it all under consent. So I just wanted to pull it out just so that they know that we recognize what a great job that they do for us and that the students wouldn't be as successful as they are without them.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve items 29 and 30. Motion from member Nollenberg, a second.
And I'll second it.
Second from member Georgino. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. And then lastly, I'd like a motion to approve item 35, certificated personnel order number 1819-13.
And I'll make the motion that we approve that.
With motion from member Georgino, second from member Lynn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'm going to abstain. So with that, we're getting there. Really just a discussion, if you have any future agenda items we want to add to the list, or do we, and if not, we'll go ahead and call for motion to adjourn. Okay, seeing none, I will go ahead and call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Motion from member Marston, second from member Nollenberg. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.